Greetings. I'm going to bring you guys along on a ride to install an improved racing oil cooler on a C5 Corvette. Here's what comes in the kit. I went with this kit because for me it was between this and Doug Rippey, and I like the shape of the cooler better, and I like that I didn't have to drill any holes in my frame, like the frame rail, because it has these U-bolts, or these U-bolts that allow you to mount the cooler itself up there. So I got a line holder, these AN lines with like really squishy silicone heat shielding. There's two 90-degree ones, a 90, like a 60-degree one, the mounting kit, the different pieces that attach to the oil cooler itself, the 180-degree thermostat in and out. I forget what the word I'm looking for is. The part that connects to the engine block with the thermostat. Oil temperature sensor adapter to connect to the factory harness. Let's see, the fittings that go onto that, the mounting kit that goes onto that, and directions. Some swag. And last but not least, the cooler itself, which is huge. It seems like very well made. Not that I know anything about construction of these things. It's got cool like information placard on the side which says max operating pressure is 150 psi, the fluid capacity is 1.94 quarts, which is nice. So now I know exactly how much oil, to add essentially to the whole oiling system. Cool improved racing placard on here, which is the same as the little swag set we got, which I tossed over here. It's a keychain, but it's also a plaque. One of these Go Fast keychains. And yeah, so let's get that oil drained. Now unfortunately, you're kind of joining me mid-journey here. As you can see, I've already removed the front bumper cover. So to catch you guys up, the front bumper cover, they have you remove some clips. The directions did mention 4 clips, but I had to remove 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 clips. Then you get underneath the car. From underneath the car, you remove the 5 screws. 1, 2, and then there's 3 that would be here, here, and here. 3 screws on either side, here, here, and here. And that removes bumper closeout panel, which gives you access to like the fog light and the smog pump under here. Then these 2 bolts come out and remove the air deflector that runs right here. Obviously the same 5 screws for this side. That plate comes out And then there's a couple screws here and here that hold in these little areas. And then from there, these 5 screws, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which are right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get at those from underneath right here. Those come out. And once you have all of those out, they ask you to remove the quote unquote main wiring harness. That's this little guy, which you can get access right here and reach up and do, or you can just wait until you've actually removed the bumper. And then you have to remove 4 nuts that hold the bumper to the fender, which are these. 1, 2, 3, 4. For those, you're gonna reach up because the bumper cover is gonna be here. You can reach up and get on them here and here using a deep socket. Smog pump comes off. 1, 2, 3 bolts. You loosen these little like ratcheting clamps with the screwdriver and then gently pull his hoses off. Disconnect the wiring harness. Disconnect the vacuum line off of here. I guess I didn't need to do that actually. This is still here. Anyway, yeah. Then once you have it at this point, you would lift the hood up. You can sort of pry your fingers underneath the bumper cover and lift up. It gets it over this lip and you'll feel it sort of, the whole thing kind of rock forward. I was able to pull mostly the bottom stud off and kind of left this one here because I didn't want to pull the bumper out and damage anything, and that's fine. But essentially it felt like it was binding around here, so once you lift it up once, I had to lift over like another lip, and I don't know if that was like here or what it was going over. And then it felt like it was stuck on the bottom, and what that was the flap sort of, it like wraps around in here, so you just have to like pull it out and around. And what I'm talking about is this piece right here on either side. So you just have to kind of pull them out, and then with a partner or a friend, family member, you can kind of just pull it right off, and it comes right off after that. All this wiring stays in, and that's the main wiring harness. So you could just undo that. And that brings you to the point at which I'm at now, which would be, according to the directions, to drain or remove the oil filter. And I'm not really sure what's gonna happen if I remove that oil filter, how much oil is gonna come out. Because one would think you would need to drain all the oil to do this, but if I don't have to, I don't want to, because I just recently did an oil change after a track day. So your guess is as good as mine as to what's about to happen and how much oil is about to come out. All right, here we go. Surprised nothing's coming out yet. Oh man, that's like brand new oil. Okay. Yeah, not too much. Okay. Next, use a 10mm tool to remove the oil pan bypass cover located above the oil filter, then wipe the sealing surface clean. There's some grime on that, on the bolts. Try to keep my work surface as clean as I can since we're working with the oil system here. Alright, well those are about as loose as I can get them with the wrench. And I don't know if we're going to get more oil that'll come out. Second bolt. Alright. Minimal oil. Just some residue. Oh gosh. The harness doesn't want to let it come down, so I have to get it off. Giggity. Okay. Oops, I didn't mean to remove that. Bingo. Put that over here. And I'm going to stick this back in the oil filter hole so we just kind of minimize the mess I make. That's not going to work. So now we're going to assemble our thermostat block guy. And per the instructions, you need to do some Teflon tape or pipe sealant, pipe thread sealant. Good Lord. And it calls for a little bit of oil. Of course, can't get it to focus, but oh well. I've got plenty of oil down over here. Put a little oil on the O-ring. And we'll meet you over at the vise. These get torqued to 25 foot-pounds. And I have a 1-inch socket, which seems to fit well. And a 1/2-inch torque wrench is not ideal because it's at the very bottom of the threshold for this thing, but it's kind of what I've got. That's it. Now I'm gonna rinse and repeat for the other one. Oh, there's that. "25 foot-pounds." And we'll see what the temperature sensor goes to. So I did not find a specified torque setting, so we're gonna have to just do it by feel. That's inexcusable. Come on, focus. I gotta get the right wrench for this one. I'll be right back. Alright, we are back. And it is the lucky number 13. So with these pipe threads, usually I just get it just shy of like good and snug because they are pipe threads. It's really hard to tell. Let's see where we're at. I'm gonna call that good. Unfortunately, I don't have any frame of reference to give you guys. If you've worked with pipe threads enough, you probably have a good idea. What I will say is I did not go gorilla tight. On to the next step. You know what, for frame of reference, you can just use the depth I've used. Hopefully that's enough. Now on to the next step. Alright, we are back underneath to install that adapter. I see a little bit of dog hair. I'm just kind of wiping that mating surface clean one last time. Being careful not to leave any lint. Alright. Now I've opened up the little Ziploc baggie that has the 2 installation screws, the drain or the plug, and the new gasket. I'm not sure whether I should put the gasket on here and just set it up there, or put the gasket up there and try to stick it. I think we're going to try this for now. Okay, so I'm going to have to use like a screw driver. Yeah, you can't really like get them finger tight because of how recessed the screws themselves actually sit. So I've got one started. Kind of finagle it into position. I can see that I got the one screw in the right position and, you know, not in one of the oil holes. But I'm just trying to get it started, and then we can make sure everything is set before I actually really tighten anything down. Okay, it's started, but I shouldn't have pulled it off like that. Oh, let's get that other screw in there. There's little gaskets around the screw holes, so I had kind of like push it through. There we go. Alright, now I can see. So with this frontmost one, I can actually kind of like twist my finger around a little bit, not much though. They recommended something called like a press to ratchet tool for this, and I think maybe now I understand why. It's just tight in there. It's hard to get any decent swings of your wrench while also making sure that the Allen head is actually in the bolt. I think we got it started. It's not really wiggling around anymore. I'm trying to fast through it. You know what I'm going to use is just my 5mm socket Allen wrench and tighten it up that way. Oh, much better. That way I can get it finger tight. That's a decent amount of thread engagement. Now for the rearmost one. There it goes. So these get torqued to 110 inch-pounds or 10 foot-pounds. And unfortunately my ratchet, or I should say my socket, is a 3/8 inch socket, which means I have to use a 3/8 inch torque wrench. And I can also see that it's kind of boogering up the boss there. I might just do this with my regular Allen wrench and the rear. Quarter turn at a time. Let's see about. I'm not really sure if I'll be able to get my torque wrench in there, especially the 3/8 torque wrench. There we go. And once again, being at the bottom of like the torque setting, it's not really good because the torque wrench is not calibrated for those levels. It's calibrated for the mid-range. Alright, that's the front. Don't know if I can get it in the back one. I'm not really able to get it in the back one. I'm just going to use the finger gauge and compare how tight this one is. Pretty tight. I'd say that's about as even as I can get them. Okie dokie. Let's see what's next. So the next thing we'll be doing is drilling our one and only hole that we have to in this area. So I gotta see if I have a 1 1/4 inch hole saw or hole saw. I'll be working right here. Up in there. So I'm going to check and see if I have that. So we don't have a 1 1/4 inch hole saw. We have a 1 1/16 inch hole saw. So we're going to skip ahead a little bit and prepare the oil oil cooler, so that if we need to go to the store for anything, we can do it all in one shot. So let's bust out these parts and see what we're at. So we've got these two guys, which look to be the same part number, and we've got the cooler. Other way. Oh, I need to know the orientation of the cooler. For at least the C5. The mounting bosses need to be towards the front. So we'll just go like that. And we're installing the top one here, which I'm gonna guess we need, wait, these are AN. We need to just poly oil these. So I'll be right back with that. Alright, we're back. And that thread's on much nicer now. I'm gonna go get, I have a little magnetic protractor. We're looking for 55 degrees. I'm gonna have to just do this off camera. I'm not even sure if this will work. So what I did was come here, okay, and I tried to set this on the flat of that little union and set it to 55 degrees, which I know we're reading 45, but that's 45 from this direction, not from this direction. So from this direction, 55 I mean. Plus when I had it at actually reading 55, the angle looked wrong. It looked like not so much like what they had in the picture. And again, this isn't torqued yet. I just showing what I use. This is probably from Harbor Freight. And we're talking rough. What I might do is bend it back down a little bit this way, or I should say this way, so when I torque it, it goes back to about that area. But I'm gonna take a look at the picture, the schematic, and compare, which is down here. No, that's not it. Right here. Yeah. So clearly, when I had it the other direction, this was more towards being in line with that, and it shows it being outboard. I think we're pretty much where we need to be. I think we found the next tool I need to buy, which is gonna have to be some type of crow's foot or crow's foot pipe wrench, because these need to be torqued to 25 foot-pounds. And I know for a fact, when we get underneath the car, do we have a light? Nope. Slow down. When we get under here, and we attach the fittings up top on the adapter, we're gonna need to torque those down too. And the only way to do that is with a crow's foot. That's a 1 inch. Or I think you can use 25 millimeters. And I definitely don't have that. So now it's time for a store run, I guess. Okay, so we're back. I got a 1 1/4 inch hole saw, and $45 later for an entire set of SAE Crescent crow's foot wrenches, I got a 1 inch crow's foot in order to properly torque these bad boys. What I've decided to do, I just torqued that to this setting, 55 degrees. That's sitting up there ready to go. I've decided to kind of mock it up because I've kicked myself in the past for trusting like these measurements and finding it not to be, not turn out right. So I'm gonna loosely mock it up. I'm gonna mark it with a marker, double check my settings, see if they're in line with what they're recommending, and then we're gonna go from there. And what have I just discovered? But you cannot loosely mock it up because the width here, it's just hitting. Like there's no way to slide this in without that hole being there and putting it through. So we're gonna drill some holes, I guess, or a hole. Now, of course, the hole saw I got, go with the same brand as my other one, is not the right arbor to fit. Come on, man. So back to the store we go. All right, we are back from the store 2.0 with the correct arbor, holes marked, and we're just gonna send it, I guess. Gonna get it centered on that. Loosely install it up in there. So it says stick the fitting through the hole. All right, it's in the hole. And it seems like the hole needs to be a lot higher up. Wonderful. Just wonderful. Okay, so go more than 6.5 inches when you guys install. So fucking annoying. You'd think they could get these measurements right so you don't run into problems like this. So the fitting is, the hole's obviously too low. Wonderful. All right, I was able to get it fit without any additional cutting by changing the angle down a little bit more. It's tied up on there. I mean, kind of, it's not like rubbing or anything, but it's in. We're gonna put the U-bolts on now. It seemed like I got extra hardware, maybe for C6s, because I know the C6s use hardware to mount it from the side, whereas the C5 we're using these U-bolts. So you pretty much can't mess it up in terms of which washers you use, and we got lock nuts. Lock nut. Well, that went all the way. Drop a like if you ever launched a nut. Giggity. Let's refer to the directions. Oh, it's right here the whole time. The other bolt into the mount here. Loosely install the remaining U-bolt hardware. Next, we gotta attach the fitting. So I brought all that over here. We're gonna put just a little dab of oil on there. Now you'll notice there's like a nice little opening that goes into, so I believe we're supposed to tighten that up and ensure that that doesn't move. And as it would happen, the flare crow's foot is not the right tool for this job. We're gonna have to just put a 1-inch wrench on it. I swear you think you get the right tool for the job. You know what I'm gonna do is tighten up the mount. I'm just gonna try 12. 12 seems to be correct. All right, I don't know what was up with that. And now they're vaguely tight. Shouldn't have any problems with the old radiator moving on me. I hate doing this without a torque wrench. $25 foot-pounds. This is a lot of torque you get out of a wrench this big, so I'm just gonna call that good enough. If it's not, it shouldn't be too bad to get a wrench in here and cinch this guy up. It moved a little bit, but it still should be easy enough to put a tool. Actually, no, I changed my mind. I'm gonna move back a little bit. Yeah, okay. I got it on there. Now you're supposed to center the oil cooler. Make sure there's clearance for the brackets and fittings on each side. I mean, I can't really move it left or right because I'm already butted up against the fan shroud on the left. But I can still get access to these nuts to tighten them up. So I'm gonna tighten those up now. Actually, you know what? We're not gonna do that. Why? Because there's a certain dimension they want you to set it off from the AC condenser. Wow, 3 millimeters away from the AC condenser. I'd say it's about 1/4 inch away. The top half could be tilted back. What I want to do is tighten the U-bolts so I have it in position. Pretty solid. Let's get this side. Down. All right. Next, we got to route the lines. I realized that the view I had you guys set up on couldn't show you what I'm talking about. So if we look at the height versus the AC condenser, you'll notice as we get over here, it's different. I don't know if that's because of this, but I don't think so. And as for the gap, I just tried to make it roughly even going across. I'm sure it'll do its job regardless. Alright, so I chose not to film this process because I knew it was going to take a long time. The routing of the wires, or the lines, excuse me. So the in to the engine one goes above this wiring harness. You see there's like right there, like a aluminum foil wrapped harness, and that used to have that corrugated black stuff, but because my car is so old, it just disintegrated in this process. You'll notice that's the engine mount, the silver part right here, and there's a hole between the engine and the engine mount. I thought about putting it on the outside, but I think it just runs too close to the exhaust. I think it's supposed to go through here, and it is a bare. So I routed one wire through. You kind of have to get, I started with this one, the 90-degree one, which is the into the engine from the cooler. And you got to get it there, you twist it, use some soapy water. You can kind of see, let's get some light in there. Part of it, there's now you see the silicone parts of them coming through to here. And then they come out down through here. You can do it. You're gonna bust some knuckles, you're gonna bleed a little bit. But they do fit. I'm not super stoked about how the wire harness kind of got busted, or the shielding, like this stuff you see right here. It got really busted up and it came apart. And there was like a little clip, which you can't even see anymore, right here, that I undid to kind of drop that harness out of the way. So I guess that's just gonna have to be how it is now, because I can't even see it to put it back. So yeah, now that I'm at this point, I'm gonna get the little bracket that it comes with, and car's no 4, so we're gonna use, I believe, this hole and assemble that bad boy. Voila. Fittings torqued, 25 foot-pounds. Temperature sender plugged in, zip tied up out of the way. I believe it's time we go zip tie. Secure everything we got up front. So I started the bracket. We're gonna kind of shove that thing back and then bolt it up to that top hole right there. And then we'll go from there. Okay, I can kind of show you what I've been doing to get this tight. I put the bracket on. I've sort of slid the 2 halves of the clamps on, and I can get one hand right here. Oh, come on, camera. And, or I did, I don't know how. With a long, lanky finger, I was able to get the top of the bolt, which you can just barely make out right there, and twist. And with my other hand, let me swap-a-roo. I was able to reach here and twist, and I just barely have it started. And now I can give an attempt at getting a wrench in there to cinch it down. But good luck getting that to actual torque spec. There's no way you can get a torque wrench in there. Well, I'm back with more. I figured why not just turn the bracket, give myself better access. Now I can really get at that bolt. And yeah, so that's what I got going. And then once I get that tight, I'll just put the bracket vertically again. All right, all zip tied up now. They include a special zip tie that has that little clip, which replaces, I don't know what I did with it, the other harness that connected this line to the fan shroud. So they're all zip tied together. Put a zip tie up there. And in general, it's pretty tidy actually. So next I'm gonna connect my smog pump and then oil filter, and I think I might try to start the car. Kind of nerve-wracking. Yeah. Another small note to add, I just saw in the instructions mention of this corrugated protector. Something about it being zip tied up here with the smog hose. I'm not so sure I was supposed to go in between these or if it should have been here. But I'm gonna run with it because I feel like the angle is better with this 90-degree right there. In the pictures, at least right here, it's a little confusing because it seems to indicate that it goes on the outside of that radiator support right there. But yeah, right here, number 35, it says use 2 cable ties to affix the corrugated hose protector to the hose that passes between the smog pump hose and the radiator support. I feel like that's that, so I had to cut one of the cables to move that, you know, from down here up behind there. So yeah, that's what I did with that part right here. All right, next installation of oil filter. I'm personally reusing mine. but it's all oily, so I'm just going to wipe it down. Next, we'll drop it down and check the oil level. As far as I'm showing, I'm seeing an oil level that's still sufficient. However, I know we need to add at least 2 quarts. So what I've gone and decided to do is I've pulled what appear to be my fuel injector relays, or excuse me, fuses, and we'll bring you in on those real quick. According to the map here, these 2 relays are 18 and 22, corresponding to fuel injectors. So hopefully my car should just crank over and not actually fire. I'm going to crank over until I see oil pressure, and then we'll come back, let the oil settle, and recheck my level. Alright. Let the starter get our little break. Still no oil pressure gauges. Let's go have a look-see and see where we're at. So we're at the bottom dot on the dipstick now. So I'm going to go ahead and add 2 quarts I have in this jug. Minimally, that's the capacity of the cooler, so not counting any loss to the capacity from draining the oil filter. That shouldn't overfill me. Super cringe the idea of cranking the engine this much without oil pressure though. But without an AccuSump, I don't see any other way around it, short of some type of complicated like pre-fill procedure, which wouldn't be impossible, but I just feel like it would have made a mess. Alrighty, let's get to cranking. So I got under the car, didn't find any leaks. Oil level is still sufficient, definitely lower than before. We're just gonna keep cranking a little bit. As an aside, per their directions, they say not to crank more than 5 seconds, just for your starter's health. I'm gonna check the level again. Oh, we have pressure. Okay. Oh, you see it now. It's almost like the gauge doesn't read while it's cranking. Well, my bad. We'll go put our fuses back in. One fuse. Two fuse. So that's where we're going to leave off with this project. I have some tow hooks I just ordered yesterday from After Dark Speed that I want to install, and given that the front bumper cover is off, this is the time to do it. So that will conclude this video. We'll have to let you know in another video later on as to how well the cooler works, or what my temps before and after are. I can tell you that my temps at Thunderhill in like January, when it was like cold and rainy and like in the 50s or even 40 degrees, I was still able to get the car up to like 280 degrees for the oil temp. So, I mean, there's no oil cooler on the car, or was none, so now that there is one, having some cooler is better than no cooler, so I know that it's going to be better. The question is how much better, because in California the temps can get pretty fucking hot. So we shall see in time. For now, that's all I got for you.